Hi, everybody, and welcome back to LL Sports TV. Hope you're all doing well. Mexico's Saul Canelo Alvarez, many people's face of boxing. He took on William Scull of Cuba. He's of Cuba, but he fights out of Germany for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. All the titles were on the line. Canelo came into this fight as the WBO, WBC, and WBA title holder. William Scull, he came in as the IBF title holder. Canelo, his record going into this fight, 66 fights, 62 wins, 39 by KO, 2 draws, 2 losses. The 2 losses were to Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol, respectively. William Scull is 32 years old, 23 fight record. He's unbeaten, 9 KOs, and he's the IBF champion. Right, that being said, I've got to say, man, this fight was an absolute stinker. I'm not going to take up too much of your time with this fight because it really was that bad. Awful, awful fight. I mean, I stayed up to watch it. That's hours of my life that I won't get back. Luckily, I had a cappuccino next to me, and that was my saving grace because I'm sure I would have fallen asleep had it not been for the caffeine injection that I had. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was an awful fight, and the pattern was set right from the first round. As soon as the bell went, William Scull was on his bike, moving, throwing punches from distance. Many of them weren't landing. No real conviction, if any, in his work. Just fighting. It was obvious from the outset that his intention was to try and get through the 12 rounds without getting hurt. He never came to win, and that was obvious. And he stumped the joint out, basically. That being said, though, I don't think Canelo Alvarez was a whole lot better either, to be honest. I mean, yes, William Scull was a primary factor in the fight being such a snooze fest. But Canelo deserves criticism as well because he didn't even really try to cut off the ring, was flat-footed in there, low output, seemed disinterested at times, throwing his hands up, exercising frustration. So he deserves criticism also. But William Scull, yeah, man, it was awful. I mean, I don't know what kind of game plan that was because he was never going to win a fight or win titles boxing like that. You just simply can't do it. And you can't simply just, skirt around the ring throwing harmless punches and expect to win a fight of that magnitude. It's simply not going to happen. And so, it was awful. Really was. I mean, I felt sorry for the fans who were in attendance. I feel sorry for anyone who's bought a pay-per-view of that fight. In fact, forget that. Anyone who even watched it. I was feeling sorry for myself watching it. I mean, it was awful. Couldn't wait for it to finish. Halfway through, the referee actually called the 2 fighters together and demanded that they throw more punches. That's how bad it was. And you very rarely see referees do that these days. I mean, back in the day, you used to see UK referees do that. But they tend not to do that anymore. I wish they would do it more, actually, because I do think that the fighters have a responsibility to the paying public and to the audience and to boxing itself, especially at that type of level. You're fighting for world titles. You're professional fighters earning good money. These guys are very good money. And you go and put on a spectacle. Well, it's not spectacle. You go and put on stuff like that. It's just totally unbecoming of the sport. It's bad for boxing. I mean, last weekend we had Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn absolutely put it on the line, round after round, entertaining the fans. Great fight. Put boxing on such a high. And then you got these 2 guys putting on such a drab show. And it was kind of in keeping with some of the fights I saw this weekend. I mean, the show over in New York at Times Square, there was 3 very underwhelming fights on that card. But this fight in Saudi and Riyadh, this was easily the worst fight of the weekend. Awful fight. And you know what I would like to see? Some kind of rules introduced where they could take points off boxers for being negative. We're seeing a few fights nowadays where it's obvious that a fighter will come into the ring, he has absolutely no intention of trying to win a fight. He's just there to survive, hold, run or move constantly, doesn't want to engage, doesn't want to take any risks. And it's just so disheartening for the fans, disheartening for the sport. If you're a neutral and you watch that, you're thinking, nah, man, what's this boxing stuff? You know what I mean? And like I said, it was so disappointing, especially coming off the back of last weekend where we had such a great fight for the fans, for the sport, for everybody concerned. And then you get this stuff masquerading under a undisputed, unified title shot. You know what I mean? It's just terrible. But anyway, like I said, it was an awful fight. The highlight of the fight actually came afterwards when Turkey Al Sheikh, who's the promoter, he invited two-time undisputed current light middleweight champion Terence Crawford in the ring. Terence Crawford will be squaring off against Canelo in September. That fight got confirmed and announced after the fight with Scull. And it's interesting because Terence Crawford seemed to be beaming ear to ear. Now, I wasn't sure whether he was beaming at the fight being announced or maybe he was secretly thinking that, wow, after what I've seen tonight from Canelo, he must be looking at that and thinking he's got a great chance. Because I've got to say, Canelo, I've criticised William Scull, but like I said before, Canelo also deserves criticism because he looked terrible too. He looked slow, he looked sluggish, he looked flat-footed. He didn't cut the ring off, didn't appear interested in cutting the ring off, was complaining to the ref that Scull wasn't engaging, which I can understand a little bit, but he doesn't really show any real desire to go after Scull. He was going to the body, landing some decent body shots at times, but he didn't really seem motivated to want to put on a show. It was, I was going to say it was like a sparring session, but I've seen way better sparring sessions than that. Absolutely awful fight, stunk the joint out. Less said about it, the better. Let's get that one out of the way and look forward to September when Canelo has a real fight on his hands when he takes on Terence Crawford. But that's all I want to say about that fight. Like I said, I don't want to dwell on that one too much. That was an absolute stinker, absolute snooze fest. And I'm glad to see the back of William Scull. Take care. I'm out.